Hey, let me say a special good morning to one and all. Let me say good morning first to our listeners via Classic 105.5. Good morning to you. Those of you who are viewing via GBN TV, whether it's Channel 7, Channel 11, or Channels 20, good morning and welcome. Welcome to another edition of To The Point. Today being Friday, the 10th day of March. Let me say also good morning to our social media audience. Those of you by our Facebook page, good morning. And those of you also via YouTube channel, welcome to another edition of The Point. There's always special, of course, events happening here whenever we have To The Point. Let me say good morning to my guest this morning. I have good folks in studio, if I could simply refer to you like that. Good folks, right? Good morning. Let me say good morning to my immediate right this morning. Let me say good morning to Mr. And his minister, Cloget. I hope I'm bad for butchering names, so forgive me. Jose Frederick, good morning to you. He's let me before I introduce my the other guest. Tell me something about yourself, sir.
So I am of Kalinago heritage, First Nations of Dominica and the entire Caribbean. I would attest that, and I'm a minister of government, minister responsibility for the Kalinago space and for the environment.
All right.
So I'm happy to be here in Grenada to enjoy the ambience and the warmth of the public here, and to do a little bit in reshaping the history of our region.
First time to Grenada?
First time to Grenada.
How you liking the island?
It's a really lovely place, and it's lovely people here.
Thinking about moving back? Yeah.
We have a reputation.
It's a space I think I could spend some time.
It's always happy when you come to Grenada. They always that thought that road for your mind, eh? Let me get some property and
Should I stay longer?
So I'm mixing work with
mixing work with pleasure at the same time.
To do a bit of work with Teddy here, and to really sort of to retell the history of this space.
All right.
And to sort of encourage the local Grenadian folk to sort of delve into the history, because it informs the future.
All right. We're going to diverge deeper into the conversation shortly. Let me say good morning to Teddy Frederick. Teddy, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Teddy, well, from the information before me, you're Grenadian. Yeah, spit something out for me in terms of give me a little feedback about yourself.
Man, I grew up in Conference in St. Andrews.
Country boy.
Yeah, but I based here in Tongan for a very long time.
All right.
And I just got back from Germany because we did a screening in the Czech Republic and a few months prior to that in Hamburg. So I'm just back here in Grenada reconnecting with the creative community, and we're trying to just put on the film here.
All right. We here to really discuss about this film called New Land, the Kalinago Dream. Tell us how it started for you, the project, especially. Just roll some details about it for me. You. What is the main role you played in it? If I could start off that way.
Well, my main role in this, from the inception, was story finder, because I worked with Cozier before on some other projects, and from following Cozier around in those times, I got to know him a little bit through the video editing that I've done, because in your role in the footage, you kind of like hear over and over the things that some of the people are saying, and some of the things that Cozier was saying sort of stuck with me. And so as time progressed, I kind of like followed him on Facebook, online, and I see some of the things that he was doing. And so I just thought maybe I should reconnect with him and see if we can tell some aspects of his story.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, the Kalinago Dream, New Land Kalinago Dream. Give us a little feedback of what this whole project was about for you.
Well, it's a new dispensation from my point of view at this point in history where, modernization has affected us, and it has affected a lot of indigenous communities. Right now in this space, we also have new perspectives. We have new tools and new creative initiatives that we want to put out there. And so I just thought this is a new time for us with this new perspective that we have. But the message is still the same. There's still Kalinagos out there. There's still a remaining indigenous people in the Lesser Antilles, and their stories still need to be told. So it's not old, but it's just being told with a modern perspective. Right. So it's still a new land.
Now, let's go back to Minister Cogier here again and ask him. You've been part of it. I'm looking at a feature of it a while ago, and I'm seeing you were one of the main characters in this idea. What drawn you to this? Give me a little bit of perspective of what drawn you to this. After getting to speaking to, of course, to Teddy, and the idea of him being a storyteller. So what drawn you to it?
So I am a student of history, formal student of history, and I realize in the narrative that there's always been a misconception of the Caribbean space, and it speaks to just the arrival of foreigners into a space and going on a rampage. But there's a deeper history than that. There were actually people living in that space for many moons, and so understanding that and understand that there's a vast majority of people across the world who are not aware that space exists. One, as a new space, and two, and that the people actually survive in that space for a very long time. And so understanding that and meeting Teddy and here as a storyteller, kind of understanding the move that I'm into sort of bring into the world the existence of a unique people with a unique culture who are and within the historical context who suffered a lot, who died, and aspects of the heritage persist today, and yet it is discounted from the conversation. And when we interact with our friends Tom and Joseph, who from Europe, they are from a community that have no idea that the Caribbean region exists as is, and far less for a unique people who existed and who survived and resisted colonization. And so for me it was an easy thing to just connect and have that story told by the guys in a very creative way.
All right. Now, the Calanagos, I understand there's also been a settlement here in Grenada. Have you ever followed through on that?
Well, there's conversation, and I think that's always happening about this, and there's always new information that's coming up, because I think we have lost so much. We're still rediscovering what we've had. Yeah.
All right. Now, what the Calanagos in Dominica? I understand that's still that strong settlement. That's still that strong, representation of that people, the indigenous people back then. How significant was this particular documentary to them? Being able to portray what about themselves over there.
I mean, it's a project that is well received in this space. It's sort of the first time that people immerse themselves and told their own story. In their own words, in their own pace. They were not subjects of a study. They were the subject of research.
All right.
They participated in something that they had a voice. It's so Terry and
did any resistance come through?
No, that's the thing. That's the thing. Is that people accepted this guy's coming in. Tall, Gideon, that guy, two white guys from Europe, Mr. Lyman pulls in, and what are you guys doing? And then they start telling the story. And so the film captures that.
Yeah.
So people are speaking from the heart. People are doing their daily lives. They're operating in a modern society. Yet they hold a lot of the heritage to heart, and they enjoy it. And so the idea is basically to get that out to the world, because we have added so much to the heritage of the small islands in the Eastern Caribbean, and that part of it has totally been discounted for some time.
And there's a saying that the heritage of the Caribbean in most of the islands seem to have been forgotten a whole lot. You understand? We more gotten to that modernization way of life and our heritage, where we really started from, how things really going on for us, especially people of that particular origin. You understand? And it's going on. How do you feel about that?
The thing is that the history of every country, every nation is written by people who came and who conquered and who had some sort of authority. And so the lesser people, the people who are for the most part destroyed and oppressed, their voice is not in the narrative at all. And so it's so important to use new platforms, film and creative arts, song, music, to sort of tell that story. Right. And so we delve deep, we go really deep, we see these people at their homes, and we follow them in their daily routines, and realizing that they have so much to contribute. And that's why I'm so happy to do this.
How did time permit for you to do that? You've been on the circle. I just had to ask you that. How did time fit in for you to do it?
It's a nice balance, because I saw this as part of my work, because part of my ministry is dedicated to the Kainago people, and so I felt it was another piece, a fun piece of my work, not just sitting behind a desk and trying to write policy for all those people and tell their stories in the written text and lecture people about it, but to go to them and have them tell that story for themselves. And so it was not part of it was not a hard thing to do, to marry my work as a minister with doing a departmental work, which is something that I have to do anyways.
Yeah. All right, I'll get away and consider that. Tell me. I don't know which one of you two would like to answer. This is the question that just flowed through my mind. How important was this for you to do this particular project? How important was it?
Well, for me, it's so important to have someone like Teddy who understood what I tried to do. Just living my life as a normal person and trying to articulate what the people need. So I represent in the House of Parliament. I do represent them in a powerful way, but it has to be more. So they can't all come to Parliament. They can come all to the radio station to speak. And so I represent that voice, but I realize also with multimedia, with film, that they can have that voice. And you can capture people in a short space of time, 35 minutes. You have that time to have yourself on the center stage. So it is your piece, your time to be in Parliament, for example, in my case, to speak to the world and tell them who you are, tell the truth. And so that's what we do, and it is so really it's a sort of powerful tool that I think can sort of reconstruct how we see Caribbean history.
All right, tell me how important was it for you? I mean, you being Grenadian, I guess you have heard about indigenous people here on our island yourself. You know, back then there was Caribbean, there was Arax, there were of course you heard about the Leavers Hill issue and all of that. How important was for you to go to Dominica and of course bring that story to life? How important was it for you to do that?
For me, I think as a Grenadian, there's something that's amplified inside of you when you don't know a certain aspect of your history, your culture, identity. And so that creates a sort of curiosity. You know, it intrigues you to find out more. And knowing that this community is alive and well right there in Dominica, it made me feel like maybe we could see what life could have been like. And so that curiosity kind of like drove us there. And film is an archive, really. And what we do now with this film, it's going to be around for a long time. And I see it as a very strong source of reference for people who are coming up after, or because maybe not right now, not a lot of people are making these types of films because we're looking for more entertainment type stuff. And I'm not going to say we're holding up this as an academic piece because we have taken creative liberties where possible, but still it is an archive. And I think, 10, 15 years from now, this is going to be a very strong source of reference. So for me, this is kind of like one of the driving forces that, kind of like triggered.
So GT, the world is sort of shifting.
Yeah.
We're sort of modernizing. And we now have access whenever to information. And we have access to devices. The youth who are sort of far removed from my experience as a young person, growing up in the Canada space, for instance, they seek to do this. They sort the devices to give them the information they need. And so we may not be able to convince them to pull out a dusty old text and read for a couple of minutes, but they would sit and look at a film, listen to the music, and make a connection. And so right now we're sort of breaking boundaries. We realize that to some extent modernization can be a threat, but we're going to use that modernization, the tools of modernization, to tell us.
There are pros and cons about it, anyhow you take it in terms of modernization. It does good for a certain percentage, and then, we know the negative impact it also brings. You understand? Let's take a break. We come back and chit-chat some more, folks. It's To The Point for today, Friday, the 10th day of March. We're coming right back, folks. Stay with us here on To The Point. We're coming right back after.
Do you know, when you play the games of the National Lotteries Authority, you are supporting sports, culture, and nation building in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Macnic?
Hi, I am Junior Murray, cricket coach, sports enthusiast, and a former West Indies cricketer. I endorse the games of the NLA 100%. For the past 40 years, the NLA has been funding many sporting activities, including competition for schools and clubs, and for athletes to participate in overseas tournaments such as the Carifta Games and the regional cricket tournaments. Additionally, they made it possible for you, the public, to view local, regional, and international tournaments from the comfort of your homes. For those reasons, I play the game of the NLA. Even if I do not win, I know Grenada always wins. Yes, when you play all the games, the NLA in turn supports sports, culture, and nation-building activities throughout the Tri-Island state.
Island Style's annual Easter clearance sale is here, and boy, do we have some exciting deals for you. Massive savings on tiles to be had, with discounts from 10 to 35% off on all tiles, store-wide. Buy all we have in a low stock model and watch your discounts skyrocket with a huge range, 15% off. Plus, get chip edge styles for as low as $1. Yes, we're clearing out our old stock to bring in the new. And that's not all. The Easter Bunny has added extra savings on tubs, bathroom vanities, tile tools, and so much more. It won't get any better than this. Jump on these excellent deals and visit our Island Style showroom on Monroe Road in Grenada or call 439-TILE. That's 439-8453. Sale ends Holy Saturday. When you think tile, think Island Style.
You know, one day I woke up and, you know, they painted a set of pedestrian crossing all along the streets. You know, nobody told us how to use that thing properly.
I know how.
You're serious?
Every safe, good driver knows about these things. As a driver, you have to be very attentive. You know you're coming up close to a pedestrian cross, you start slowing down immediately, looking to see if there's any pedestrian on the side getting ready to cross. If there is, you stop on the line that is a certain distance before the crosswalk. Then you would see the pedestrian put their hands out, looking directly at you, indicating that they are going to cross. And only when you have come to a complete stop, that is when they will quickly and safely cross to the other side. And then you continue.
Hey, welcome back, listeners and viewers, to The Point for today, Friday, the 10th day of March. And I say good morning to the Fredericks. I think I'm going to leave off the first name. You know, I'm leaving off the first names for now. Let's say good morning to the Fredericks with us this morning. And with all due respect to you, Minister, good morning. Now, I wanted to get a little bit of insight on the actual production of the film. You know, I guess I'll lead that up to Teddy. So I'll get for the first name, I'll go with you, Teddy. Give us a little bit of insight on the actual production, how things went for that.
So there's a lot of different point of views you can take when making a story. And for me, in this situation, it was more of not trying to be like super over the top, but also coming with enough equipment still to be able to be as creative as possible, and being able to tell the story in a sort of authentic way that does not make it too superficial. And it's more relatable for the audience that's watching. And so I feel like we kind of challenged ourselves to tell the story in a very authentic way, and to maintain the like how real it is and how real the people are, and just to kind of to keep that going and to keep that right there. I mean, we had discussions like many times, even leading up to the production, like what could we do? Should we bring this? Should we bring that? And you know, it's a little daunting when there's a black eye following you everywhere around. And for some people who maybe just want to do their regular thing, just, you know, go about their regular lives, and to have these big lights or these big cameras just in your face, you know, it's a little daunting. So
I get that.
how do we package this so small that it feels more intimate, and the people don't feel like there is, you know, this giant eye just following them around and watching their every move, so that we can capture like this authentic type of behavior. And this is the conversations that we were having in terms of our production. So from the behind the scenes, it might seem like, okay, we didn't really scale the production, but this was intentional so that we could have the effect that we
keep that natural
exactly
way of the production. Okay, great. Now, you've been all over doing with this already. How has it been received? What has been the feedback been thus far for this production?
So far, we have only screened the film in Europe, with the first screening being in Hamburg, Germany.
What was the feedback back in there?
And the second in Czech Republic. In Hamburg, Germany, we had a population of 260 persons coming to the theater. And for me, that in itself is a testimony to what we have been doing so far, because as new filmmakers in the city, we have no reputation. No one is looking for us. They're not expecting us.
There was a tall black guy.
Right. But the only thing we have done really is like take all our posters, our flyers, and we put it all over the city, man. You know, day and night, and we just crossed our fingers and hope that people will show up. And the fact that 260 people showed up that day was very overwhelming. And then when we had the Q&A sessions, the conversations was going on and on and on, and people didn't want to stop. They want to keep talking.
What is it that they wanted to find out?
Because in this space, there's a lot of Europeans who don't know this aspect of their history, because it's a shared history between Europe and the Caribbean. And to them, this is a little bit new, it's a little bit fresh, and it's a little bit surprising at the same time. So their curiosity is on high alert, They have questions for Cozier. They have...
For people to say, I only see these things in movies.
Yes.
And this is like real life individually talking to them.
And that's it. And then when we screened at the Czech Republic, it's the same scenario. We had this was a smaller cinema, so we could only fit a maximum of 150, and we had a maximum of 150. And the same scenario. Once we had the Q&A sessions, everyone was on high alert. They want to know more. They want to know where this place is. They want to know how they can get there. They want to know where they can find more information about this, how they can give back. And so we started, sharing the story of what we have done, sharing some of the initiatives that the minister is doing in the environment, and then persons started approaching us and then donating things, and we started collecting some of the donations in forms of camera equipment, laptop, lenses, and so we could give this back to the territory, and the guys there can use these tools to tell their own stories, because I think the best people to do it is them.
I agree. I agree. Minister, of course, Frederick. Let me ask this. You being a minister that is responsible, you give a description of your responsibility in government and what you do. Being able to bring this out, but you portraying it, a lot of it, what do you think you can do to help the Cargolanders in your neck of the woods?
So the thing is that the political governance is so important in our small states. We have to have participation at the policy level, and so everyone can be a member of parliament, and so the task is how do we best capture the voice of at the grassroots level, and to capture the interest, capture what they aspire for, and how do we do that in a respectable way, in a respectful way,
not intruding on them,
and not being overarching, not being sort of in your face, but so the film, it captures that. Like Teddy said, we move around with folks, they were able to welcome us into their homes, and so it makes my job easier as a minister of government, where I now have a cadre of young men, young women who are excited that they can now see a way to tell their own stories. And so the creative piece we bring with the equipment we have, and we're going to bring that back home to the guys, and I can see them experimenting and telling their own stories. And all of this is part of the bigger web of understanding who you are, where you come from, and where you ought to go. And doing that on your own terms. And it is something that sometimes at the policy level, it's difficult to connect sometimes, because you sort of have a wide brush, a very wide brush on how do you treat issues. But then when you capture the voice of at the grassroots level, you get an understanding that there are varying levels to what you may perceive as the best policy or best course of action. And so I feel that doing the film just makes my job easier. That when I do participate in doing policy, be it for the creative arts, be it how do we treat the curriculum at schools, how do we reconstruct our education system, that I have that voice and I have a reference point that I can go back to. And so I feel I don't feel daunted at all. I feel so empowered to know that I have people, I have an entire tribe, I have a creative community that is there to support. Okay. And so my job as a politician is it's much easier.
No, you have that kind of insight of what the people are like. You being there, I guess you spent lots of time within the community, so you know exactly the do's and what people really like now. So when you go to do policy making for them, actually that certainly made life a whole lot easier for you.
Yeah, that's the thing. I live in the community. They are my peers. I see them every day. But then
sometimes you don't know exactly.
I don't know everything. Yeah, exactly. And so to come in there and then to sit back, because I saw the film for the first time in Grenada. Yeah.
First time you see it.
Yeah. So I'm coming in and I'm sitting there and I'm saying that and just I'm getting into the heads of the folks and seeing how they feel, and they both Bill and Auntie Patsy and just really hearing their voice almost for the first time. I never heard this voice before. Who are these folks? And, so the film brought that out. They were very comfortable. They spoke from their heart. There was no fear in just saying how they felt, and I felt that because they spoke truth. I felt that nothing is of any harm to me as a policymaker. I think no one was bashing any system or any set of people. We were saying that this is our situation. We have come through a certain part of our history, and we want our story to be told. And if you can do it for us, with us, we'll be happy for it.
Where does this go from here for you?
Well, for me, I could see it's. I have challenged the guys. We need to do more. The guys have been challenging Grenada to unearth aspects of Grenadian history and culture and bring it to the fore. And for me, it just drives me. I feel that I have a couple more years left in me to sit at that level and to understand the politics, but also to marry it with the grassroots level and use the creative arts as a sort of a vehicle.
Yeah.
So I felt that maybe this is my second term in office. I thought that I would just maybe retire and chill after this one. I suspect I may want to do another term or two because I feel inspired by the film and by the people's voices and seeing how eager they are to just participate in their own development. Because for a very long time in our region, we sort of have discounted the grassroots people and hoping we come to them at election time. We ask for a vote, and as we sort of like sneak out and we come back 5 years after and hoping that they would have done something that would have approved us to be in the House of Parliament. But I think it's a continuous process. We have to engage them on a daily basis. We have to reach out, talk, and ask them to respond, and ask them and sort of put some pressure to have people speak. Because I think the Caribbean civilization is much too quiet on a lot of issues that affecting us. We speak about our economic system, world governance, the World Bank, and all of those major players who sort of put pressure on us at various times in our history. But we at the grassroots level have to sort of respond.
And sometimes the grassroots are the individuals who pay minimal interest to what even the politicians are talking about. You know, so
there's always a conundrum between making a policy, creating a law, and having the people understand it. And I think sometimes you can make the best policy plan, but if the people really thinks like this is unattainable, or they can't reach it, or they don't even know, or they even care to know,
it becomes senseless.
Then it becomes pointless. And so I feel with film as a vehicle, you could sort of magnify areas that you hope to get across to the people. And in these small doses, by highlighting different areas and different topics, you could then get people to be interested in these policies and interested in these laws. And I think this is a really good way to bring across the message.
You know, and there's a saying that, a picture tells 1,000 words.
Yes,
that's
right. And Caribbean people want to see themselves on the screen, the big screen. So there's another thing, because, it's not just about the mission of bringing across these messages, but also it's an issue of identity. People want to see themselves on the big screen. They want to feel like they have representation, and we as Caribbean people, we like to feel entertained and know that we're part of something.
Teddy, where does the future hold for you with this, in terms of filmmaking in general and everything? Where does the future hold for you? Will I be seeing a major production of Hollywood one of these days with Teddy?
Yes, sir. Yes, so we could mark it right here even now. I'm going to continue to tell these types of stories, because as a filmmaker, we're constantly training our minds and training our eyes to find people who are interested and with these extraordinary stories, so that we can continue to tell it. Grenada has a lot of stories, and the Caribbean by extension also have a lot of stories, and I feel like it's also part of my identity that I want to express that through the film. And with this production now, I think in the near future, we have received a few submissions and awards for this. I think we're close to 15 now.
Okay.
From Tokyo to Amsterdam to Germany and even the Caribbean. So we're just going to be going around with the film. In some cases, we'll try to be there in person. In other cases where we can't, the film is just going to be shown at those locations, and we're just going to have representation digitally.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll be certainly happy one of these days you come to Grenada. I mean, there's lots about Grenada. You be in Grenada. There's a lot of Grenada that has not ever been featured before.
Yes, sir.
You understand, and it's minimal. And all aspects of the Caribbean. There's lots about things within the Caribbean.
I think now is a good time to get those stories out.
Exactly.
Yeah, the atmosphere is just right.
Yeah. I want to thank both of you for being here. We still have another
Thank
two,
you.
of course, being part of your team who will be coming in and chit-chat in the next segment. Mr. Frederick, anything final you want to try?
I just want to say I feel at home in Grenada.
Yeah.
I feel at home. So that's a good thing. I feel very comfortable. And to say that the warmth it's overwhelming here. And I think I want to contribute to sort of unearthing the sort of forgotten stories in Grenada. I want to assist with that. I think the passion and joy that it brought me in the project on Dominica is something I think can be done in Grenada.
Yes.
And I think the Grenadian population, the young folks. Yesterday we met some kids at school, and they were so excited just to know that I existed as a Karanago person in the First Nation, and knowing that there's an ancestry that may exist, that definitely exists in Grenada, and how do we prepare them to sort of take the mantle from when we sort of retire, in a sense. So I want to be part of that project really here in Grenada, and I also want to encourage the Grenadian public to look at the creative arts in a new perspective, a new view, because it has the ability to sort of break through a number of barriers.
Interesting. Teddy, any closing you want before we take a wrap?
I think coming out from the screening yesterday with the high schools, this kind of reminded us of why we're making what we're making, because you can see on their faces the questions and the depth of the questions that they're asking. It's coming from their hearts and it's coming from their mind, and it's initiated from the imagery that they've seen and the stories that they heard from the screen. So I think this is, we feel like we're on a right path, and we're just going to keep continue doing it. Yeah.
Right, great. We got another two members of the team they'll be popping in the next segment. Thank you guys once again.
Most welcome. Thanks for having us.
Continue to enjoy Grenada, Mr. Frederick. I certainly hope I'll see you back in a different capacity one of these days. Probably amongst you up at the beach or something.
Thank you so much, GT.
All right, Teddy, thanks again.
GT.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Get true.
Yes, sir.
Hey, folks, we're coming right back. Stay with us.
And engage with the experts, help to find common solutions for common problems during this COVID situation. We find it to protect our livelihood across the nation. This is for we to learn, share ideas and concerns, to live life like we deserve. We must change we mindset first. Build strong economies, closer societies. We all have a duty. CEF is for me and you. Beyond COVID, CEF is for me and you. Caribbean Economic Forum.
You know, one day I woke up and, you know, they painted a set of pedestrian crossing all along the streets. You know, nobody told us how to use that thing properly.
I know how.
You're serious?
Every safe, good driver knows about these things. As a driver, you have to be very attentive. You know you're coming up close to a pedestrian cross, you start slowing down immediately, looking to see if there's any pedestrian on the side getting ready to cross. If there is, you stop on the line that is a certain distance before the crosswalk. Then you would see the pedestrian put their hands out, looking directly at you, indicating that they are going to cross. And only when you have come to a complete stop, that is when they will quickly and safely cross to the other side. And then you continue happily on your journey.
Stop, look, hand out, eye contact, wait for pedestrian to cross. Then you happily continue on your journey.
This message is brought to you by this group of insurance companies, the Traffic Advisory Body, and the Traffic Department.
Kerada James blazed the tracks at the National Stadium. Anderson Peters dominated at the same venue. Both were elite athletes before moving on to the international circuit. Grenada, the pursuit of glory has returned as secondary schools are back on the track and in the field. And GBN is here to shine the spotlight on...
Hey, welcome back, listeners and viewers. Good morning. It's To The Point for today, Friday. A bit of informal Friday for some reason or the other, but of course, whatever we're talking about today on the show, it's just have some really serious relevance this morning. Got back two other guests with me this morning. We got Tom and Joseph. Good morning to you guys. Welcome to The Point.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Tell me, Tom, who's Tom and who's Joseph anyway?
I'm Tom.
You, Tom. Tell me something about you guys. Tell me something about yourself. Tom, let's kick it off with Tom.
Okay, I'll start with me. Yeah, I'm Tom. I'm a filmmaker based in Hamburg, Germany, and I love it for the passion. I love to tell stories about people in the most authentic and truthful way, and that's kind of the vibe I've been going with my production company as well. I don't want to do these high-class commercials. I really want to show authentic stuff and real people. And that is what I think what we've done with this project so far.
All right, Joseph.
Hi, I'm Joseph. I'm 26 years old. I come from the Czech Republic, and I'm also in the visual arts, or in photography and filmmaking. And yeah, last year I got the opportunity to visit Caribbean region for the first time.
And you want to go
and I came back right now again, and I must say I really like this place, and also with the project that we worked on last year with Cozier and with Kalinago, it completely changed my view on this region and also about the history, because as Cozier said before, it's not being told in a truthful way back home in Europe, you know. So for us, we don't even know that it's not true, or that we should do some more research, and colonization and stuff is portrayed in the wrong way.
Tell me, New Land, the Kalinago Dream. Tell me about your roles in that particular production. Tell us the roles you've both played in that, as being the producers and so forth.
Yeah, so together with Teddy, I directed and produced it.
Okay.
So we basically were a small team, and we did everything from the music production. We had some support there. We had some research assistants with us, but yeah, I was basically doing filming, editing, and directing.
How did it feel doing a production of that level for you?
Well, actually, this was my very first film, very first documentary film, and I just went, or we just all went with the vibe of the flow, and it was overwhelming for the first time, and also being in the Kalinago territory. Being surrounded by insane nature, beautiful people, so the whole experience was just a big trip.
How did it feel also about the learning of the culture of individuals for you? Was it a great learning experience, you would say?
Yeah, I mean,
definitely. I mean, just being around like the indigenous people, you know, it's something like just the fact. Okay, coming to Caribbean is one thing, but getting so close to like indigenous people, to territory, when usually like you can't really stay there, you know. It's like not experience you can buy with money.
Yeah, no.
So that was very crazy, and learning about Cozier's stories and what is he doing there, and like really seeing it and feeling it, that it's like happening, and he's moving people around, you know. You see how they like him there, how they appreciate him, everything. That was wild.
You know, I mean, I understand what you folks are saying from the experience that you have gained from this. Now, taking the film, you've also been to Germany and also been to Czech Republic. You brought it there. What was the feedback you felt when you brought it in and saw the response that you received?
Yeah, crazy. I mean, we actually, before we showed it in the cinema, we didn't show it to anyone. So none of our friends, none of our families, no one saw it. No one. So we wanted them to see it for the first time on the big screen with nice speakers. We mix the film in a way that is mastered for cinema, so you have the nice surround sound and everything. So in the whole, I mean, the visuals are just different from what you normally see, but the story was so captivating for people. People cried in the cinema. They were overwhelmed. You could tell by the Q&A the depth of the questions that they had, and the calls and messages that we got the days and weeks after were just overwhelming. People, because since we also produced a music album, we gave something for people to take home with, and that they can listen to it whenever they feel like it. And I run randomly into my friends in the train, and they listen to the music album, and that really is a sign for me that we touched them, and we had a great impact on their life.
Totally.
Can you repeat the question for
I
me,
was
please?
saying, you took it to the Czech Republic.
Oh, yeah,
you
the
took it there
feedback,
also.
right.
What was the feedback like there for you?
Yeah, everyone said it's like exceeded their expectations, because there were some sneak peeks. You have the trailer, and I was talking about it in the city, but they were like, okay, this is some kind of like it's their first documentary. It's like amateur movie, no big budget. And after everyone sees, they're like, wow, what the hell you guys did there? Also with the visuals and stuff. Plus, what I said earlier, same with the history, realizing some stuff, very eye-opening to actually like hear from.
Because most of the time, these are things you may see in movies, big budget movies, as for the sort of, maybe you watch production of that nature. And you being able to do it in person, be there in person and watch and be part of it. What was the effect of it for you?
It was crazy. I also wanted to add to the previous part that many people in Europe don't or might never heard about Dominica, because it's such a small country. So you kind of providing also like a geography lesson to them and showing them the island. Plus you have the Kalinago heritage in there. So I think that makes it also very special.
All right. How did it feel for you as individuals yourself, being part of your ethnic group? How did it feel doing that production?
I think at the beginning, I didn't really realize how like important the project is, because we were first time in the Caribbean, and then you have this beautiful nature, sea, ocean, everything. So you just look for stuff around you, and you didn't really realize like that the project that we started working on is so crazy. And just by the time, even after we came back to Europe, I started and working on the pictures and stuff. I started to realize, okay, this is like we just experienced crazy stuff there, and we documented something like a part of the history. So it was overwhelming at the beginning to take everything in, to like realize what's happening.
Also, what I want to add to this regarding the sensitive history topic of this. At the beginning, we were also a little bit nervous to go there for the very first time, since we didn't know how people are going to perceive us, how open they're going to be to us, since we are coming from Europe and all that. But it felt like it was also our responsibility to bring both sides together and really tell the true story of the Kalinago. So for us, it was an absolute passion project. Since we self-funded everything, there was no one that had any interest in it, so we could really do it the full way. And
how was it like working with Teddy and Minister Frederick?
Wild. You have a wild guy here. Teddy is a crazy man. Honestly, we met him first time in person here in Grenada when he picked us at the airport last year before the production.
I mean, we met before, but not personally.
Okay.
Yeah. So we actually met like 4 or 5 years ago, and we had this community of filmmakers based all over the world, and we were doing this monthly Zoom calls together. We kind of brought all our network together, and we're discussing about our jobs, clients, new gear, just creative ways of growing, and we always kept in touch, and we really did it regularly. So over years, we stayed in contact, and then I actually did a masterclass on how to do documentaries, because I've always wanted to do them. So we started the conversation, and then everything kind of fell into place. And yeah, it's incredible to work with such a talented person as Teddy, because it's not only that he has an eye for cinematography and video, but storytelling, music, arts in general, like paintings, and he's just a creative.
Made your work easier to him.
Yeah, he did, because he also has 10 years more experience than we do, and he's coming from different like background. We coming from there. He's from here. He's local, so he knows how to talk to people.
He fit in a little bit.
He feels the people, So it's different if he comes to a person and says, "Hey, we're making a film about Kalinago. Can we maybe interview you?"
It feels
other than we would come there,
Imagine you going up to them, they might say,
yeah, exactly. But he feels them, and he knows how to talk to them, and it also helped us and add us like the creative freedom that we don't have to really care about this part, we can focus on the photography and the film, and Teddy was sometimes more like a bridge in between to help us to get to the people.
And also what to add to it is that we really had the freedom of coming in with a new, fresh perspective. So some of the shots that for locals may be your regular life and are normal were very new to us. So we really approached this with like a fresh eye, and that's why I think some of the shots came out the way that they did, because we really just went with the flow and captured what looked interesting to us, which maybe you guys oversee by time because you're just used to it.
tell me, you said something that sort of drew my attention. You said documentary is something that you always had a keen interest. Why?
Sorry?
You said a while ago that documentaries is something that you seem to always have a keen interest in. Why?
Yeah.
Why was that? And why was it that easy to do this one? Is it because of the keen interest?
In the end, because I have a video production company and we do mostly like image films, recruiting films and commercials, I've always feel more drawn to have real people in front of the camera and sort of actors and models and have like this set. So it was always about the imperfections for me and connecting with people, and I think doing documentaries, the most important thing is that you gain the trust of the person in front of you or next to you, and to just make them forget about the camera. And I felt like I had the right approach to it, also in my commercial work. So I really wanted to do longer formats, and also combining it with the photography aspect, because Joseph and I are working together on our commercial stuff, and we always kind of have the photo and video from the same language. So we really wanted to bring these aspects together to break the traditional boundaries of a documentary and create something completely new.
Okay, great. Let's take a break. We come right back. We should chat some more before we take a wrap for this one. We're coming right back, folks. Stay with us. It's To The Point for today, Friday the 10th of March. We're coming right back.
Grenada.
Grenada James blazed the tracks at the National Stadium. Anderson Peters dominated at the same venue. Both were elite athletes before moving on to the international circuit. Grenada, the pursuit of glory has returned as secondary schools are back on the track and in the field. And GBN is here to shine the spotlight on our emerging stars. Join us for the live broadcast of the annual Intercall Games on GBN television. Coverage begins 9 a.m. on March 28th. 3 days, 74 events, 23 schools, 2 champions to be crowned. Republic Bank Inter-Secondary Schools Athletics Championship, March 28th, 29th, and the 30th at the Grenada James Athletic Stadium. GBN, with you, everywhere and anywhere.
Made possible by Guardian General Insurance, Rubis, get going, Dasani Water and Power Aid, and the National Lotteries Authority.
You know, one day I woke up and, you know, they painted a set of pedestrian crossing all along the streets. You know, nobody told us how to use that thing properly.
I know how.
You're serious?
Every safe, good driver knows about these things. As a driver, you have to be very attentive. You know you're coming up close to a pedestrian cross, you start slowing down immediately, looking to see if there's any pedestrian on the side getting ready to cross. If there is, you stop on the line that is a certain distance before the crosswalk. Then you would see the pedestrian put their hands out, looking directly at you, indicating that they are going to cross. And only when you have come to a complete stop, that is when they will quickly and safely cross to the other side. And then you continue happily on your journey.
Stop. Look. Hand out. Eye contact. Wait for pedestrian to cross. Then you happily continue on your journey.
This message is brought to you by this group of insurance companies, the Traffic Advisory Body, and the Traffic Department.
Hey, welcome back to The Point for today, Friday. I have Tom and Joseph with me this morning, and they have been part of the entire production of New Land, the Kalinago Dream. Now, Tom and Joseph, I don't know which one of you two would like to answer this. Tell us about the production company that you folks are part of. So tell us about that.
So our goal behind this project is not just to do a film. It's really to create something that's going to be beneficial for future generations to come. So with Yellow Mountain Spaces, we are building our creative community between Germany and the Caribbean and Grenada as creative hubs. And what we really want to do is, because we believe in the power of collaboration, and we've seen this on this project because we had people from all over the world working on this film, and it's just amazing to see the outcome of it and the inspiration that you can get just from different approaches just because of where you are based. So what we really want to do is do workshops and exchange programs between Germany and Grenada and the Caribbean in general, to really have both sides be inspired by each other and to grow together.
What happened to us basically, kind of with Teddy, you know, meeting him and having this, just because it was an incredible experience, and we just want to like reproduce it for other people to be able to experience the same. And the idea for Yellow Mountain actually came in Dominica, kind of, when we were filming, and always after the filming, like late in the evening, we would just talk stuff, and it's kind of evolved over the weeks that we spent there. Okay, let's do like bigger thing than just this movie.
And
let's
more ideas just come into play.
And now with all the screenings around the Europe and here in Grenada, and like you just see the movement. It's slowly happening. You know, people getting interested. It's nothing like massive, but it's step by step, one person after another. You have these conversations, and that's what we are up to.
Tell me, where does the future hold for Tom and Joseph in production on the whole?
In film production?
Film production on the whole.
Well, we definitely, if we could, we would do Yellow Mountain Spaces only and shoot amazing projects around the world and bring people together. So that's kind of what we're working towards too. Right now, we are finding a balance to sustain the ability to do these films, because like I said before, it was self-funded. We're doing it next to our regular jobs. So we have to find a way to do it full time.
I kind of thought this was a full-time thing, but it's part-time.
We were doing our regular shootings and editing, and then after that we were doing the editing for this and the planning. So we all did it next to our regular jobs.
Great. So Joseph, what does the future hold for you for this?
Well, I am very similar as Tom. Like, if I could choose, I would just like to do this, you know, like work with people, do workshops, in the meantime shoot some interesting stories, and just like, also what I saw yesterday in the museum, in the National Museum in Grenada, when I saw the interest of the kids after the movie, and how like the spark in their eyes, it was wild. I was like, okay, let's do more of this, you know, let's just bring the young people and let's teach them something so they can also tell the stories. And we don't have
if there's another production of that within the Caribbean that you could be associated with, what would you like it to be?
Well, I think there's definitay tons.
I think we need to do something in Grenada.
We'll do definitely something in Grenada. That's big, because I think there's no way to communicate a message more powerful than this. Because I think what we really have to do is get the younger generations, and what, like Joseph said, we saw it yesterday in the National Museum. The way that the kids were asking the questions, and the way that they were touched by the film and the project, really just, this is the way you can transform the message and reach people to really make change. And I think the change is going to come from the younger generations.
I mean, the Calanagua Dream, you know, the New Land, the Calanagua Dream, that particular production, you have said you have taken to Germany, Czech Republic, now it's in Grenada. I've spoke to Minister Frederick saying it was the first time he's seen the production in Grenada here, and he's been captivated about it. If an opportunity arises where you could add more to this particular production, what would you like to add to this that you may have had to maybe edit out for some reason or the other? What would you like to add to this?
That's a very interesting question, actually. I think we did everything that was possible to us at that time, and also in the editing. To be honest, it's maybe I would go a little bit more deeper on the history part, because since it's a short documentary, we're also limited. Once you do a feature, it's like 90 minutes plus. You have way more space, you know, to cover more topics, because we really dove into all these characters and followed them around, but this could have been done in more detail, so we definitely got to come back for that.
Yeah, that's what I want to say, that I would not add anything to this production, but I would like to come back in few years and do like a follow-up, what happened, you know, what happened in the Calanagua territory, maybe in 5-10 years, to see the difference.
Yeah, also seeing these young guys now, what they're doing with what they have in their creative space was biggest inspiration for me. So being able to interact with them, kind of give them maybe some small tips and tricks, and then see them create their own content, I think that's my goal to see, and that would make me really proud and very happy.
All right, man. Tom, Joseph, I want to thank you guys a whole lot for coming to Grenada. I hope you best. I hope you guys hit the beach, enjoy yourself. Hope you had the opportunity to go around the island and you know, visit spots that will certainly be of interest to you. Maybe you'll say, hey, our production could be done there for some time in the future. Any closing you want to show before we take a wrap?
I just want to say thank you to the listeners and watchers, and for the openness here. It's we're not used to this from Europe. It's people are a little bit different. So thank you so much for welcoming us like this. It's really an honor to be here.
All right. Any closing for you?
Yeah, same from my side. I'm super happy to be here and to see the support and interest from all the locals about this project. It's really, it's making me happy, and I'm happy that we can be here and share the Kalinago story in Grenada.
Thank you once again. Well, thank you both for being here with us this morning. Certainly a pleasure having you, and hope to see you back sometime in the future. We could probably have a chit-chat one again.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Good. Hey, folks, that's what we're going to take a wrap for today's program of To The Point. It's been a pleasure having the folks here with us, the Kalinago Dream. Pretty soon, I'm assuming that documentary will be out somewhere in form that it could be viewed to the wider public. I'm assuming that will come out. Should I get that in terms of the wider public having the option of viewing it? Would that be available soon?
It's going to be in Movie Palace in the cinema.
Okay.
It's starting today for a week.
Okay.
Every day one screening.
Okay, great.
So you can just go on their website and buy there.
Okay, great. Thanks once again. All the best, man. Have yourself. Enjoy Grenada to the max.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, folks, that's what we're going to take a wrap for To The Point for today. It's a pleasure having you folks join us. Have a good one, folks. That's what we say goodbye for today.